Hi and welcome to video 13 in the Gatsby JS course. In this video, I'll be guiding you through setting up your free Contentful account and building the blog posts we've been mocking out in our application. In this video, we won't be doing any actual coding, but these steps are critical in continuing with the Gatsby JS course, so don't skip this one. Before we get into setting up Contentful, we need to understand what it is. So if we first go to Google and search for Contentful, and it will be the first option, contentful.com. If we just navigate to their website, we see here that it says it's a modern content platform. A content platform is where we host all of our content. So in Contentful, we can store our images, our blogs, and much more. It gives us a central place to store all of this with easy ways of updating our articles in the future without having to touch any of the actual code. This is really handy if you have a marketing department or blog authors who don't know how to code. They can write the articles in Contentful and then publish them straight to the website. So let's get started. So if we hit get started, we just want to start building, so hit that option. And then you can sign up with GitHub, Google, or you can fill out this form. This form was a bit lengthy, but yep, I'm going to go with the form. So Kieran Venison, company, Kieran Venison, and then email, we'll set that to be kieranmv@gmail.com. Development platform, you don't have to select the platform you're actually using. It doesn't affect it when you're in the platform, but I'm just going to say JavaScript. Job title, doesn't matter again. Job function. So a development option here, yep, developer. Then password. Obviously, I'm not going to tell you what to write here. And sign up. This might take a moment. Usually it's pretty snappy though. And we're nearly there. The password I put in was not secure enough, so let's go again. And let's try that again. Great. So now we can just get rid of the banners. And we don't want to deploy a website in 3 steps. We don't want to explore content modeling. We just want to crack on. But I don't think it's giving us another option. So let's just explore. It will do this initial loading step as it's the first time you've logged into your account. Once you've done this once, you won't have it again. And now we can click get started. So what we're going to be using in this project is just a content model, the content and media section. So what are these sections? So the content is where people will come in and they will write their actual content. So this obviously has all the demo stuff in from Contentful. So what we're going to do is just select all of them. And we're going to unpublish them. Once that's done, we're going to select them all again and delete them. It's a 2-step approach to deleting things in Contentful, and it's just so that you don't accidentally delete live content. So first it go from publish to draft and then draft to deleted. So now we've cleared all this out. Let's just check our content model, and we're also going to delete these content models. I think we have to manually delete these one by one, which is a bit of a pain. We'd have to type out the category in each of these. So I'm just going to fast forward through that and delete all of these. And you can do the same, or you can keep them if you want. Lovely, so now all of them are deleted, we have nothing in our content models. So as I said before, we're going to be using the 3 sections, content model, content and media. But what are these sections? So the content is where you will come in and write your information. So it's where your authors would go, your marketing department would go, and any other department that uses your website content. And inside there, they could click into existing blogs, they could edit the titles, description, change the images out, all of them things. Media is where we're going to upload our images. So for our Gatsby and View image, that's where we'll put them. Content model is where we build the shape of what our content will be. That'll make more sense as we start filling this out. So first of all, let's create a blog post content type. So we'll add a content type, call it blog post. The API identifier, we don't need to worry about this. I'll just leave it as the default. So it usually just snips them together and creates a camel case equivalent. And in the description, this is just so that if an author or the marketing department is ever looking for the content type in the future, it's easier for them to find. So in here, I just put a blog post again, but obviously it's very similar. And we can create that. Once we've created that, we can add fields, and fields are what we'll fill out inside the content editor. So if we click add a field, we get multiple options. We get rich text, text, numbers, date times, locations, and much more. So what we can do here is hit text. And first of all, what do we want in our blog post? We want the title. So the title is never going to be longer than 255 characters, so we can just leave this with the default value. The field ID, again, this is what will be used in the API. I wouldn't bother changing this, just leave it to whatever it automatically generates for you when you populate the name. So now we've got the title in there, let's click create and configure. Once we're in here, we have some options. We have settings, validation, and appearance. Settings is just for the name and the field ID, which we've just seen on the previous page. Validation is where we can see if these fields are required. So we can say that every blog post title is a required field. So a blog post must have a title, basically. It doesn't need to be unique. We might have a blog post with the same title in a year's time. So maybe we write a blog post about Gatsby a year from now, where we have the same title but the updated code. So let's just save that. Now we've got the title in there. We also need the date. So we could do it from the date we publish an article, but obviously you might write an article in advance for the future. So we'll shove a date and time in there. Just call this date. And again, we'll create and configure that and say in the validation, it's required that you add a date. Now we need the image. So every blog will have an image, and this image will be what is used on the homepage components that we made and inside the actual blog post for the hero image. So for that, we want to add a new field and we want the type to be media. And we'll call that hero image. And it's only going to be one file, so we don't need to select the many files option. And let's create and configure this. So we'll go to the validation. The hero image will be required. We can also specify file sizes here, but I'm not fussed about file sizes as we have our Gatsby packages which will compress the file sizes down for us, so we can just uncheck that. We want to accept only specified file types, so yeah, we'll say yes for that because we don't want people uploading PDFs in place of images, or we don't want them uploading code, so we'll say must be an image format. And let's add a custom error message in there. So must be an image. So if somebody in a marketing department or an author starts writing a blog and they try to upload an MP3 file into this image field, it will say it must be an image, and then they'll have to go back and do it until they get a correct image format. So accept only specified image dimensions. We can leave that as it is. We want them to be able to upload any image size and shape. So let's hit save. So we've got the title, the date, and the hero image. The last thing we need for blog is the actual blog content. So in here, we've got a couple of options: text formatting with references and media, and the normal text. So I think for here we can go for normal text, but we can go for long text, which can be up to 50k characters. We'll call this article, and we'll do create and configure. What I want to do in our article is, the rich text would have been a good option, but I want to write it in Markdown. So if you've not used Markdown before, I've put a link in the description to show you how to use Markdown and how powerful it can be. And the reason I'm writing it in Markdown is because as a developer, I like to cross-post my blogs, and I like to cross-post them to services such as Dev2. Dev2's formatting is also in Markdown. So if I create my website's blog using the Markdown formatting, it means that I can copy the exact article and post that on Dev2 without having to manually change everything over to use the correct formatting. So with that being said, let's make this Markdown. So if we go to validation appearance, actually first let's go to validation and set it to be required, and then to appearance. And here we can see we have some options. So single line is like our standard inputs such as title. Multi-line is where we can just break it down. Then we have Markdown, which is what we want. So as you can see, it's using the hashtag breakfast to symbolize a H1. So let's just click, make sure that's selected, and then click save. So now we have everything a blog consists of. We have our title, date, hero image, and article. So at the top right, we can save that. And then at the bottom, it will say content type saved successfully. So now we've got that in there. How do we add blog posts? So to add a blog post, we go to content. So content will be where we add any new content. Content model is simply where we create the shapes. In our content type at the top here, we'll have a drop down. And inside our drop down, we'll have all the content models that we create. At the moment, we only have blog posts, but you can create as many different content models as you want. So when you have one selected, at the bottom, you'll get an add. And that will add the current content type that you've selected. So if we add blog post, we then get this form. And this form is built entirely off the content model we created earlier. So we had a title, date, hero image, and an article. And all we need to do is fill this out. So inside here, we want to write out our articles. So first, I'm going to write our Gatsby article. First, we need to add the title in. Then we need to add a date. Luckily, because we've set it to a date format, we have this handy selector. So we'll say this is going to go out on March the 16th. And it's going to go out just at UTC 0000. So then we need to add some media. So if we have two options when we click add media, add new and add existing. If we've already uploaded any images, it'll be add existing. If we need to upload a new image, it'll be add new media. Anything we add here will be added into our media section here so we can search for it in the future. I think Contentful provides some default things if we look in here. Yep, but we won't be using these as we already have our Gatsby and View images. If you need the download links for them, they'll again be in the description. So first, let's add new media. You'll get another form to fill out. It'll be similar things. Not quite sure why we have title and description in German and English, but for now, we can just forget about the German one and just do English. So we'll call this Gatsby image. And then description. These won't be displayed in our website at all. This is just so we can search for it in Contentful in the future. So Gatsby image thumbnail in the description. And then let's upload our file. We can also drag and drop the file straight in. So I'm just going to drag Gatsby straight into this, which didn't work. So let's try that again. Drag and drop file. There we go, it's uploading. Then it will do a bit of processing. And then we're complete, so we can click publish. Once an image is published, we can click the little back button at the top left. And you'll see our hero section is now using that Gatsby image. So now we can go to the actual article. And I'm just going to copy in a small piece of text for now. And for now, I'm just going to copy some lorem ipsum in there. So if we go to lorem ipsum generator, and we'll generate 5 paragraphs. Copy all of them paragraphs. Go back to Contentful. I'm going to paste all them in. And let's set a title. We'll set the title to be Gatsby blog post stuff. And we'll put a hash in there because as we selected earlier, this is a markdown editor. So if we click preview on here, we'll see what it'll actually look like. There we have it. There's also a link to a markdown cheat sheet attached directly to this. So if you're ever having trouble with formatting, just hit that and you'll see what you can and can't do. So now we have our Gatsby article complete. We simply need to publish it. So we click publish. And now we can go back to our content and we can see that our blog post is in here. So now let's quickly do the same process for our View blog. So again, we'll create a new one and we want it to be called Taking Our First Steps into Vue.js. We'll set the date to be March the 16th again. And we're going to add another piece of media. And that media will be View image. The description will be View image thumbnail. Again, these don't actually matter. It's just for finding them inside here. And then the file will drag and drop our View image straight in. And that will upload. Once that's finished processing, we can publish it. Click the back button at the top. We now have the Vue.js image. So again, let's go and get some more lorem ipsum. I'm just going to copy that same block. Paste that into there, and then inside here we'll shove a H2 of View article content, and we'll publish it. Go back, see we now have 2 blog posts. Again, these won't be on our website yet. We've got a lot of hooking up to do to get this to generate into our Gatsby stuff, but for now, that is the quick basic introduction to Contentful. What we need to do before we continue is get an API key from here. So to access this information in Gatsby, we're going to do an API call to Contentful, and Contentful is going to return all of our blog posts. Using that information, we can then generate the pages we need to show these blogs. Before we do that, Contentful asks us for a secret identifier, and this identifier will tell Contentful that it is us doing it, so that not everybody can get all your stuff from Contentful, because you might have things in here that are draft or private. You don't want people to get them. So you have to pass your ID along. To do that, we need to get our API key. So if we go to settings at the top right here, click that, you should see an API key section. If you just click that, and then we have an example one in here, but let's add a new one so you can see how you do it. So we'll click add an API key, and then we'll call this our Gatsby website. The description is going to be Kieran's test API key. Again, this is just for searchability. These aren't actually important. Name, I'd say actually is important, because if you have multiple different points of access into our Contentful space, we want to make sure that these are named something we'll remember in the future. So if we ever discontinue the Gatsby website, we can delete it, because we don't want loads of keys hanging about. And then we have our space ID, our content delivery API access token, and our content preview access token. The difference between these is, if you want to get content that's not yet published, you'd use a preview API, as that lets you get draft content. If you want to use this in your live website, therefore you don't want any draft content being viewed by a user, you'd use a content delivery API access token. So what we need to do first is we need to show this by clicking the show button, and we need to copy this, and we need to save it somewhere. So for now, I'm just going to save it in notes. So Contentful API key, and just save that somewhere you won't lose it. I'll be showing you a better way of where to store this in the next video, but for now, save it in your notes. Once we've created that, hit save, and if we go back, we should now have our API key. As I said before, let's keep this clean, and let's just delete that example token here so we don't have unnecessary keys hanging about in our account. Perfect. Now we've set up our free Contentful account, join me in the next video where I'll show you how to use environment variables in Gatsby so you can store your API key inside your project. If you're liking the series, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.